Well, welcome back to the Sport or Nothing podcast. It is the Tuesday after WrestleMania. We did mention of back in November we were going to talk about WrestleMania with Hamza. Unfortunately, he is not with us here today. He's out busy, and Malvin and Will, they're off doing their own things. They'll be back in a few weeks. So once again, you're stuck with me. But we have managed to actually bring in someone who has grown over the wrestling TikTok community. Wrestling Takes Cameron. Welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you on.
I appreciate you for having me. Yeah, as you mentioned, I'm a wrestling TikToker, I suppose. I've got about 400k on there. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys for having me on.
No, it's brilliant to have you on. We'll talk about more of that in a minute. But I really guess you can see it's a new face. He's not been mentioned as much. He joined me for WrestleMania Saturday and Sunday, and then last night for after WrestleMania. Jaden Shaw, welcome to Sport or Nothing podcast.
I've been dreaming of this moment. I've been waiting and waiting, asking and asking, and I'm finally allowed to be here.
He has been asking for a while.
I'm really, really happy. That's it.
That is excellent.
Yes.
So, boys, we'll start quickly with go back to Cam. Cam, like you said, over 400k followers on TikTok. I asked a similar question to Wrestling Vid Hamza a few months back. Well, why did you want to start a wrestling TikTok page? What got you into doing that, wrestling in general?
Well, I'd started a football one first, but it just never really went anywhere. I think it's a bit oversaturated around the football market, I suppose you'd say, on TikTok. But I sort of noticed there wasn't too much wrestling on there, and I thought, why not? It's one of the things I like. So it was about 14 months ago I started. I just picked up the phone, made my first video. It got about 3k. Next one got about 50k, and then since then I've just never really stopped.
It's fantastic, and of course I know we all saw your WrestleMania reaction over the weekend.
Yeah.
Is that something you love doing? Being able to film your action and post that on social media and share with the community your reactions to that night?
Yeah, it is. Other than the fact that you need to stay up to past 4 a.m., which is just ridiculous. I'd much rather it be like at a normal time. But yeah, other than that, it is something I really enjoy doing. Hopefully, in the long term, I can move out to the US so I can do Raw and SmackDown every week as well. There's no way I'm staying until 4 a.m. 2 times a week. It's too much.
I spent 4 times a week already this week, hasn't it, Jaden, for me and you? SmackDown, WrestleMania,
SmackDown, Mania, and Raw. Yep.
NXT tonight if we're up for it.
Not a chance. No, not a chance.
Absolutely. And Jaden, yourself, of course, I was with you for WrestleMania Saturday. What? I know you're not as massive on social media as Cameron here, but wrestling, you're a big fan. I know it's in your family. What got you into wrestling and professional wrestling and sports entertainment?
When I was around 6, so back in the good old year of 2010, a long time ago. My uncle, who used to watch it when it was the WWF, unfortunately, a panda changed the plans of that. He had, I'd say, almost every single wrestling action figure, and he gave them all to me. And then I got into watching highlights on YouTube before the WWE channel was a thing. DVDs at your local shops where it used to show the Undertaker's greatest matches. That was a personal favourite of mine. Casket matches and all of that really encapsulated what I wanted, and that's the entertainment side of it. And then I stopped because it got bad. Yeah,
it did. Yeah,
it got bad, and then I came back into it around probably COVID because there was nothing else to do. So yeah, I always kept track on it, but recently it's like you said, I've watched it 4 times this week at 4 a.m. It has not been pleasant. But yeah, it's just a lot better than it used to be, and I feel like we're finally coming back into a point where everybody can enjoy it.
Absolutely. I mean, we were going to go straight into Mania, but you just mentioned that it's coming back into a period where everyone's going to enjoy it. That is down to one main man, Paul Levesque, Triple H.
Yes.
He came in almost two years ago now, replacing VKM. touch yours for VKM. And we were all clamoring it for years that he needed to take over, but it's been so successful. I don't think any of us expected Hunter to have done what he's done, and it's fantastic because we're now crossing the lines of reality and works, and great era to be a part of. And Hunter's done an absolute superb job.
Yeah, I only came back to watching wrestling in SummerSlam 2022. I took like a 7-year break from it, and I did not like it at all. I think I just went through that age where you're like, wrestling's fake, I'm not watching that. But then SummerSlam 2022, it was actually the involvement of Logan Paul that caught my eye, and I thought, let's give it a watch. And yeah, and ever since then, I've just been right back into it. So I never really experienced the real dark days of like 2016 to 2019 under Vince McMahon. So I don't, well, if I can say his name on here, I don't know. I think I can. Yeah, I never really got to experience that, so I'm not as relieved as everybody else. But yeah, ever since I did start watching, it has been fantastic, and Triple H just seemed to be doing a very good job.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call the 2016 days dark days, more 2018-19.
Was that? Yeah, I wasn't watching through. Yeah, I stopped watching in 2015. So
yeah, no, fair enough for me. SmackDown 2016, the golden eras for that part of it. Yeah. So Jaden, I'll ask the same question to you. You say you dropped in and out, likewise with me. But Hunter, what have you noticed that he's done really well since you've come, especially from those COVID years, that 2019 to 2022 period where it was just bad.
He's done everything well. Everything. I didn't think it was capable for someone. First of all, I thought Vince McMahon would be there until he was dead. I never saw him fully relinquishing and thought, well, we know why he's had to. We're not going to bring it up. But it's a touchy subject. I didn't think anybody was capable of coming in and making the swift turnaround that Hunter has made. It's unfathomable to see how much of a business it's become. Because that's what the original plan was. They wanted entertainment. They wanted business. They flew off of that. And with the introduction of TKO, how long's TKO been there now? I don't know. It's not been long. And the introduction of TKO and the partnership with the UFC, etc., it's enabled a lot more realism around certain things. Some things still need working on. He's been doing it 2 years, and it's been a lot better than I can ever remember.
Yeah.
So there's not much else to say. He is God.
he's the boss as well. I guess you did mention that Logan Paul got you back into it. I mean, I know me and Jay, we sit and we've talked about Logan Paul on many occasions. What was it about Logan Paul that drew you back in? Was it his star power that you caught? I saw someone this big.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, like I said, from 2015 to 2022, I did not like wrestling at all. I never really heard of it in the media either. I just sort of forgot about it in a way. I mean, obviously, I still have the action figures from when I was a kid and everything, but I literally just wasn't taking in anything wrestling. And then obviously 2020, I think it was, KSI fought Logan Paul, and that was what introduced me to Logan Paul in the first place. So from there, I had some sort of link to knowing who he was. And then in 2022, I just literally saw on his Instagram that he's going to be at SummerSlam 2022 facing The Miz. And I thought, I remember The Miz. I hated that guy. I want to see Logan Paul go and beat him. So I thought, you know what? I'll stay up until 1 o'clock, see what this is all about. Well, 1 o'clock start time for us. I'll see what this is all about. And then I didn't make it to the end of the show, unfortunately. I didn't get to see Lesnar versus Roman. I think I came off after McAfee Corbin. But I really did enjoy the show as a whole from what I did see. And then every week I just started watching the highlights on YouTube. And then in February of 2023, so about 6 months after I did start come back and watching, I did start creating content. So just really did get me back into it.
A really quick turnaround. Of course, that was Triple H's first major pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Since he took over. But one big major pay-per-view that has just passed us when I move on to it, the biggest WrestleMania of all time, was it dust has settled. We'll go through each match in a minute, but now the dust has settled, where does that rank in WrestleManias for both of you in terms of match quality, but in also terms of just moments? And is it one of the best WrestleManias of all time?
I think it goes top 3. I really do. I think it'll take a few months and a couple of times watching it back over to really know where it does rank. But for me, obviously WrestleMania 17, I think, is the majority of people's favorite WrestleMania. For me, I really enjoyed WrestleMania 28 because it was the first one I ever saw. But WrestleMania 40, that's the most I've enjoyed wrestling in a long, long time.
Fair enough. Jaden, what about you?
I think there is a fine line between biggest and greatest. The biggest WrestleMania, without a doubt, due to the socials and everything going on with the company, it is by far the biggest. The returns, it makes it the biggest by a long shot, not even by far. The greatest, yeah, but I couldn't call it the greatest. Like Cam said, WrestleMania 17, that was incredible. And I don't think you can ever top it. And nostalgia might be a part of that, but I don't think you'll ever top 17. 40 for me is 4. When the streak was broken, I wasn't happy about it, but because of how iconic that was, it could be in there. But then that was only one match. So it's just, there's moments, maybe not the greatest, but definitely the biggest.
Yeah, so you did just cut out a bit there, Liam, but no worries, we cut most of it anyway. So now move on. Yeah. On to night 1, we opened up with the Women's World Championship from Monday Night Raw. The man Becky Lynch versus Mommy Rhea Ripley. We missed this match because we were playing darts. And we thought it started at 1 a.m., not 12.
Yeah, forgot.
But from what we saw, a very entertaining match. Cam, I know you were there watching the match. What did you make of the performance and the result with Rhea Ripley retaining?
Yeah, well, I mean, as you mentioned, I think most people thought it started at 1, and it hit 12 o'clock, and I heard Rhea Ripley's song come on, and I got the shock of my life. And then it panned to the guy singing it. I thought it was her. People in the chat, in my Twitch chat, were thinking the same thing. I got a lot of hate in the comments on TikTok for not knowing who that guy was. I didn't like his rendition of Rhea Ripley's theme. It might be an unpopular opinion, but I didn't like it. But I did like the match, though. I really did enjoy the match. I thought Becky and Rhea put on a good show, considering Becky was ill as well. For obviously freezing cold temperatures that night, so an extra hardship for them to endure. But yeah, I really did enjoy the match. I mean, that little spot at the end where Becky was on Rhea Ripley's shoulders and they went to the outside, I thought that was quite impressive. And then the finish, obviously, with the riptide onto the turnbuckle, second riptide, and getting the 1, 2, 3. I think it was quite obvious Rhea would win, but nevertheless, a very good match.
Yeah, of course, Mommy remains always on top. She did just enter. We saw Liv Morgan last night attack, and that is most likely going to be her next feud. Do we see Liv being able to beat Rhea? I know she said a few minutes ago she'll take everything away from Rhea Ripley now. Is that the next path for Rhea?
I don't think Liv will beat her. I think Becky had more chance than Liv. I do like Liv Morgan, but I don't think they've built her up enough to be a credible threat to dethrone Rhea. I think there's only one, and that's Jade Cargill. If Becky Lynch doesn't get a rematch, I think Jade Cargill is credible enough to dethrone Rhea Ripley. I know Jaden's shaking his head. I don't think he's a fan of Jade Cargill, but I just imagine that match, Rhea Ripley versus Cargill, 2 unstoppable forces. That would be incredible, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think you're a fan of Cargill till about 3 a.m. last night, Jade.
Right, yes. I won't go too much into it. I wanted Alexa Bliss to come back, and she did not come back. And there were so many teasers potentially within the show and glitches on the show, and people started stirring up rumours, and I got excited, and it did not happen. But no, Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley is going to happen. It's just when it's going to happen. When you've asked me before who might dethrone Rhea Ripley, I've said the same thing every time, and you completely disagree with me. And I think it might go full circle back to Charlotte, because there's not many that can do it. I personally do not want Charlotte near the championship because I'm sick and tired of seeing her holding it. But she's credible enough. You just know the WWE are going to push that record of titles she's got. It's definitely above her father. He's also a scumbag. So it would be nice to get rid of his name. I mean, he's iconic, but I just think Charlotte could. I don't think Liv's the person. I think it's also way too soon after Mania. I think Liv, it's going to be a very great feud. There's history. Rhea, outside of working in the WWE, has a lot of praise for her. As previously said, she'd like to see her in Judgment Day. That's obviously not going to happen. But I think it will be a great feud. But I don't think Rhea's going to lose this potentially until Mania 41. I really think they're going to push it.
Going to push it a long way. Of course, we'll come on to Jade Cargo a bit properly later on. We'll move on now to our second match of the night. We saw the undisputed tag team championships after, I think, nearly 2 years, almost 2 years, split up. As I called it on the night, Jane, the future is now here. A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. They've gone from Dave Mount's report that they might not be in the match to winning the SmackDown tag team titles. I know a lot of people wanted DIY or New Catch Republic to win it, but Grayson Waller and Theory definitely do deserve their flowers. And fantastic to see them finally win some tag team gold and some gold.
Yeah, I was quite shocked when they grabbed it like that early on in the match. I thought, what the hell? Like, who's going to come and stop them? But it did work out really well. That was actually my second favorite match of the night. Second to Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth. But yeah, very entertaining match. A lot of good spots, and yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Austin Theory. I would like to see him turn face, and then maybe Grayson turn on him, and Grayson be the heel, and Theory be the face in that feud. But yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind them being the champions. I just think they've been booked quite weak over the last few months. Obviously, trying to like protect Logan Paul, and I don't know. I don't mind it. And then obviously the Awesome Truth winning the Raw tag belts. I think we're all very excited for that moment. And yeah, looking forward to seeing what they can do with them belts.
Yeah, Jada, quickly before we go into the Awesome Truth, A-Town Down Under. The camera's right. They've not been pushed as stars. You know, they've been fed to the likes of Randy Orton and Kevin Owens over the past few weeks, but they're finally champions. And if they do turn face and heel as well one day, do you see them both becoming great single stars as well?
I think they could already be great single stars. You're right, they've been booked very weak. Not poorly, definitely not poor, but they've been booked weak. And they have been bodyguards for a few weeks now for Logan Paul. I mean, being fed to Randy Orton and Kevin, it's not the worst thing for your career, let's be real. But it's a difficult one. I think they're going to do good things with the championships. They're hated by almost everybody. So they've got feud after feud potentially coming. And then if you move on, we all knew it was going to be Miz and Truth. I feel like everyone knew. There was moments of doubt where Truth looked a little bit too stupid to actually get the title. He took a free count in the match. Thought he won the titles. Wasn't really sure about what happened there. I don't think he was either, but I'm very happy. And again, last night they put on a brilliant match with a brilliant return. Well, I say return, it's the second return in 2 nights. But I think they're going to have a lot to do, and I still think they're going to be feuding with the Judgment Day. However, I don't know if they're going to push it as JD and Dom or as Finn and Dom or Finn and JD, because I think Finn should be going for a title of his own.
Yeah, no, we talked about it last night. We said Finn is a main event star, and we've all been very impressed by all members of the Judgment Day. But going back to R-Truth and The Miz, I mean, since Truth has come back at Survivor Series, you know, he has been such a gem of entertainment. He finally got his WrestleMania and finally got a championship after, since it's been about 4 or 5 years since 2019 with that US championship, and The Miz winning another championship. And, you know, The Miz has been as well for here for so long. It's nice to see him pick up another championship as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've always posed the question: what if R-Truth turns heel again, like in 2011? And I honestly wouldn't mind him having a short world title run. I feel like he deserves it at some point in his career. I know it probably won't happen, but I would like to see him with some sort of singles title as well. I'm a huge fan of R-Truth. Also, The Miz too. bit disappointing in 2021 when he won the world title. It wasn't a great reign at all. He lost it in about a week or two. But yeah, two of my favourite stars on Monday Night Raw, and great to see them with the belts again.
Yeah, let's say
first time.
Yeah, it's nice to see the belts split. We're gonna have a lot of feuds now. Tag team wrestling, a lot of tag teams both on Raw and SmackDown coming to the forefront. That is a great time for both shows and for both tag teams.
Yeah, 100%. They've got about 10 to 15 tag teams, I think, even including NXT, that are worthy of getting a match for those belts. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with them. 100%.
Absolutely. We'll move on now to another tag team match. Jaden, I know one that you very enjoyed, but also was a bit disappointed by the results. It's the deadbeat, Rey Mysterio.
Yes, the deadbeat.
But also Andrade versus Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. Great to see Andrade at WrestleMania. Been really impressed by him and his return. Thought Santos has been a great since he's come in as a heel, and Dom is very much over. But Ray went over his son again. I know it was probably to give Andrade the win. But what do you make of that?
I don't think Ray should have gone over. I think the way most people looked at it is Dragon Lee got attacked. There was all of it. Carlito's turning heel. I'm not too sure when. I personally was a fan of his heel work. I know you were. Cammy, I know you say that you prefer him as a face. I don't know. I thought they would have turned in that match. I thought he was going to make a turn, and I thought he was going to cost them the match. And then we can build up this kind of like implosion of the LWO. There's a lot of groups surrounding Liber Lucha. Like, it's a lot. Just lots of luchadors in the WWE right now. And it's brilliant to see, don't get me wrong. Santos has been very good. He doesn't win many matches of importance since his return. He wins on your weekly shows, but he doesn't win of importance. And I feel like he needed that.
In fact, he needed that win. We talk about Carlito and potentially him turning heel. I've always been a fan of Carlito's heel work, but I think it's now since he's come back. It's been years since he's come back. I like to be able to just cheer him. That's the more front of it, because he's incredible work. But would love to absolutely hear his great odd theme. If he spits in the face of people who don't want to be cool, and he is a fantastic heel. We've got a lot of large luchadors, a lot of factions. A lot of people turning heel. Jana mentioned the implosion of the LWO. Could you see Carlito turning heel?
Yeah, 100%. And like you mentioned, he needs to bring back his old theme song. This new one is so dead. It's like, who cares? It's terrible. I don't know why. I don't know who made that choice to not allow him to use his old theme song. I mean, another unpopular opinion from me. I know not many people agree with this. I'd have preferred to see Dragon Lee than Andrade in that matchup. I just think, not as a character, but I think he adds something completely different in ring. I think he's one of the best in-ring wrestlers on the roster. And it might just be because I missed that whole 2018 to 2020 era. I don't really know much about Andrade, and so far he's not. Yeah, he's good in the ring, but his whole character, I just feel like I think WWE do this a lot with the luchadors. The whole character is being in the LWO and being a Latino. I feel like they need something else other than that to make them stand out. He just seems to be another member at the minute to me of the LWO.
Yeah, fair enough. Of course, we saw Andrade reunite with Zelina Vega, manager between Andrade's first and Jaden, and that was nice to see those two reunite. And if Andrade does end up going to SmackDown in the draft, or Zelina goes to Raw, we could see those two reunite, and I think that would be really beneficial for Andrade.
Like Cameron said, there's a lot of members of the LWO. And you bring Andrade back, came back in the Rumble, El Idolo, you expect really big things. It sticks it up Tony Khan's ass. You bring someone from AEW, that was a long-awaited return, and it just hasn't hit the way I think we've expected it to hit. He is just it's another member, and we know what he can do. We know what he can do as a character. He needs to really branch out.
You see that with Zelina Vega coming back as his manager potentially after the draft, or?
I think Vega's really proved herself that she is good in ring. Maybe not the best, don't get me wrong, but she puts on emotional matches. We saw that in Puerto Rico. She can put on a good match. Maybe not as a manager. I can see her being ringside, definitely. But if they were to come together, I wouldn't want to see it as just a full manager role. I'd like to see her have a more impactful role than just be this manager that, well, is supposedly with Andrade according to the storyline. I want to see more from both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll quickly come back to the full circle of the match because the ultimate heel, Rey Mysterio. I talked about this the other day. Everyone's turning on him. You know, you can see why, because he's allegiances top left, right, and centre. I talked about it to you, Jay, and Ray said the one thing he's not done in his career is turn heel. And he did say he would like to do it. Could we be planting the seeds for a very long term Rey Mysterio heel turn? Because everyone's portraying him. You know, at this point, it's showing like Dominic was right.
I don't think we're going to see Rey Mysterio as a heel. What is he, like 51? I think the crowd just love him too much, and also that would see a real reducement and decrease in mask sales as well. I think that's one of the biggest sellers on WWE Shop, and if he turns heel, no kid is going to want to buy a Rey Mysterio mask. They're going to hate him. I don't see them doing that, but I mean, I'm not against it, but I just think it's a bit late in his career.
Yeah, it's very, very late. Very late. I still think people would cheer him as a heel.
Yeah.
It's Rey Mysterio. He's that legendary. But, like, yeah, kids, they believe everything. They're not going to want to buy masks. And, you know, WWE, they're very, very money-based, business-based. I just can't see them turning him heel at this point in his career.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Of course, he is the biggest luchador of all time. They're trying so hard to replace him with Dragon Lee, and he's fantastic in ring, and we'll see this storyline develop over the next few months. Of course, Dragon Lee took part of the new WWE Speed this past Wednesday, which is an exciting new format. I mean, what have you, quickly, before we go on to the Usos match, what have you boys thought of WWE Speed and its introduction?
I don't actually have X, so I have not seen any of it. I mean, it's not made me want to install X. The stuff I've seen and hear about X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, it's just, it doesn't look good, and I don't see any benefit to me of getting it. I mean, if this speed thing turns out and it's like Roman Reigns turning up and Cody Rhodes, then sure, I'll take a look. But while it's just these like mid card acts, I'd rather just see them on the main show.
Jared?
What was the first? I saw Cedric Alexander's fight, and I thought it was. No, I'm a big fan of Cedric Alexander, and I understand that Speed's kind of like, it's not a big championship, is it? This tournament, it's not big. And I thought maybe we're going to see people get pushed. Granted, it's not a proper push, but it would be nice to see people like Cedric Alexander have brilliant matches. And he lost. So I don't fully understand the format. Like, Bronson Reed has just won the Andre the Giant Memorial. He's just nearly become the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship against Priest. Why is he in the tournament? I don't fully understand what's going on. The matches are good to watch. I've seen a couple, but I just don't see the purpose.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It is understandable. Speed, new topic is enjoyable. I think it's going to grow the next few weeks. And I know you mentioned Bronson Reed. Of course, we'll bring on to him in a bit later on with Monday Night Raw. When I go on to, for me, what was probably the most disappointing match of the night, it was Jimmy versus Jay. It was brother versus brother. We both sort of said, Jay, that the Roosevelt match could have gone either way. What did you make of the match and the outcome to put Jay over? It now seems almost like the right one because he's now got that world title shot. But on the night, we were both questioning it.
I personally think they're too similar. I thought they'd have this brilliant chemistry. Like, these two are twins that would have been fighting in their back garden from a very young age. Real fights, fake fights, practicing, not practicing. It just did not. It just wasn't good, was it? It was. I felt it was quite slow. I thought the emotional side of it we saw was very good. But that was always going to happen. We know that these Samoans, they tend to all be acting now. I thought the acting in it was very good. It's just I didn't enjoy it. I felt we needed a stipulation the whole time. I really think we needed a stipulation. Which stipulation? I don't know. Whether it was a street fight, an I Quit match, anything would have made that better. I don't really have words for it. I'm still really disappointed. But I think Jey Uso was the right call to go over. Now he's got the championship attempt.
Mike, I think you guys are going to think that I go against the general consensus because it's pretty well known in my community. I don't like Jey or Jimmy, especially Jey. I'm like the only one out of everyone that I know that doesn't. I can't stand Jey Uso. I just feel like he's a hypocrite. Three years he was running around with Roman Reigns doing all this, costing people, and like literally Drew McIntyre's right about him. You can't trust him. But why all of a sudden, when it wasn't him that turned first, it was Jimmy that turned first? Is he now the good guy? And Jimmy, why did Jimmy go back to the bloodline? That's never been explained. I didn't like the match. I thought it was too slow. The only part I did like was when Jimmy pretended to go back because I love the Usos as a tag team. I think they need to get back to a tag team as quickly as possible. I've come out and said it in the past. I don't think Jey Uso will ever win a singles title, and I hope he doesn't. And I want them to be back as a tag team. They're the best tag team of the modern era. I mean, just get back as a tag team. It's obvious, in my opinion, anyway. I'm just not a fan of Jey Uso. I think he's a hypocrite.
I gotta say, I said that when Jey Uso when Drew McIntyre first turned to you, Jade, and I said, Jey Uso has not apologised to Drew McIntyre.
He did not. I don't know why.
I said the first like that. Jay, one of the most over guys in the company. No, I agree. I think the match was very slow. It was, yeah, I understand. Like that bloodline arc was a bit confusing. Jimmy super kicked Roman, and then he got straight back into the bloodline, and it's never really been explained. Makes a point there with perhaps Jay never becoming a singles champion. Jay, do you see Jay ever becoming a singles champion?
Yeah, but I don't think it should be now. I think if he does, it's because he's so over in the company. But I just don't know what championship he'd win. I think the most suited championship for Jay is the US title.
I agree.
Because, no offense to Jay, I do like Jay, but it is also, there's just so many bigger in-ring stars that could hold the higher belts. Mm-hmm. Jay's friends with most people on the roster, so he's not going to go after Cody. He's not going to go after Sammy. I think the US title is the only one that he's realistically going to win. He's not going to beat Priest. It's too early, unless WWE decide to do something stupid. It's just, he will win one. Otherwise, this whole main event Jey Uso character change has no point. But it's just when I think the timing with Jey Uso is it has to be perfect.
Fair enough. I'm gonna say again, you just a bit. The audio keep chopping in out, but again, we got most of that. I think.
That's all we needed.
Yeah. We'll go on to now a six-woman tag match: Bianca Belair, Naomi, and the Storm, Jade Cargill versus Damage Control. Then I'll quickly come back to you because we watched the Royal Rumble and back in January, and you said when Jade first came, Small Appearance, said that is how you make a star within what she did. Do you still stand by that? And what did you make of a performance in that six-woman tag? However short it was.
When we watched the Rumble, and there was all these rumours of people returning, and Nia Jax came in, she cleared everyone out. I think I said to you, Jade Cargill needs to make her debut here and eliminate Nia Jax. She did. She made herself look very, very strong, very good, a lot better than I think we've ever seen her look in AEW. You'd know a bit more about that than me because I don't watch AEW. I never really did. I never saw the point. I thought it was terrible. But moving on from that, she's a star. She's got what is a very overused word right now, and that is aura. She has aura. And I thought I thought the match was very good for what it was supposed to be. Because we knew there was no way they were going to lose. You're not going to have Jade making her debut and losing. Bianca and Naomi aren't going to lose at Mania in that situation. I thought Jade looked really, really good. I was very impressed until we got to last night. But again, we can move on to that.
Yeah. So, Gavin, what did you make of Jade's run so far in the match?
I think her run so far, I mean, we haven't seen much of it. I can understand why they want to limit those appearances until she goes on a proper run. The match, looking at the Mania card before anything happened, the two matches I thought didn't belong on the show was that one and the AOP versus the Street Profits and Lashley. I thought they were just SmackDown matches. I mean, and I still stand by that. I think that 6-woman tag could have happened on a SmackDown before. I mean, I think it might have been the fact that it was taking place at 2 a.m. I was fuming. I just thought, why is this match here? I don't care. No matter who wins, it doesn't matter. We all know who's winning anyway. I'm not a fan of Damage Control either. I never have been. I am a fan of Jade Cargill. I think she will become a women's champion at the latest by WrestleMania 40. I mean, I thought maybe something exciting could have happened with Bianca and Jade having like a little confrontation at the end, but we never really got any of that. But yeah, a bit of a toilet break match to me. That and the Jey Uso one for me were toilet break matches.
Fair enough. Then we'll move on. For me, what was match of the night? The underdog from the underground, Sami Zayn, ending the 666-day reign of the Intercontinental Champion, letting General Gunther. What a match that was, and Sami finally ending the reign. I know a lot of people sit and talk like it should have been Chad Gable, but I said to you last night, Jaden, that Sami deserves this championship after what he's done over the past 12 to 18 months with the work in the bloodline. But it was an incredible match in the end. Was it not, Buzz?
I'm struggling to decide how I feel about this. I'm a big fan of Sami Zayn. I love the guy. At the time, I hated the finish of that match. I thought the way he took 3 Gunther power bombs and still he couldn't beat him. All those clotheslines, frog splashes, and that. Gunther, I don't know. I'm not actually a huge fan of Gunther, so I was wanting Sami to win. It was more the manner in which he did it. It was a fantastic match. It was more the fact that he kicked out of so many finishes. It was like, how? I do hope his reign's better than him and Kevin Owens' tag team title reign, because that was very lackluster. I mean, high expectations, very lackluster. But yeah, I'm excited to see what Sami can do. Him versus Gable will be good. But I think everyone's been going on about Chad Gable should have done it. I think it should have been Sheamus.
That is interesting. We saw the Celtic Warriors promos last night.
Yeah.
Of course, Sheamus is Gunther cooked. And I know, Jen, as well, we also said that Gunther is some of the most protected finishes in the company. And Sami did kick out of 4 of them, so it did perhaps come across as these finishes aren't as well protected. But what did you make of that run? And to Cam's point, do you think Sheamus should have been the one to dethrone him?
I personally thought the match was done after the double powerbomb. I thought it was done because you can't build up. It was 666 days. You cannot build up the greatest intercontinental run of all time. Nobody can kick out of his finishers, and then have Sami kick out of almost every single thing. It didn't really make sense. I understood why they did it, and at the time I was very disappointed that Sami won, because I still thought there's a lot you could have done with Gunther, but at some point at the same time you have to move Gunther onto the main event scene. It's a difficult one because I don't know where Sami goes with this, but if it's anything like former runs, I really hope it's good. But I just don't see where he's going with it. And again, if he can kick out of the most protected finishers, he kicked out of multiple spears when he faced Roman. He's kicked out of multiple finishes against Gunther. It's kind of like you just don't expect anybody to beat him now for a very long time.
Yeah, I guess. It's going to be an interesting one to see where Sami Zayn goes from here. We'll move on now to the main event of night 1. It was Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, and I will talk about Cody and Seth probably in more detail in night 2 because Seth, was he going to turn? Can he be trusted? All this, it was a culmination of 10 years for Seth Rollins. It was at night 2, but we'll talk about that a bit more later on. But it was our main event: Cody, Seth, Rock, Roman. If Cody and Seth won, it was going to be Rock and Roman 1-on-1 night 2. But if Rock and Roman won, it was going to be Bloodline rules. We'll come to you, Cam, with The Rock. Were you impressed by how The Rock looked in his first match in almost 10 years?
Yeah, I really was. I thought he was, well, not necessarily the star because they all had a lot of good spots in that match, but I thought he was perfect. The thing with The Rock, it's not necessarily his in-ring work that gets him over, it's his aura, his charisma. And I thought that bit where he had to go at the ref and said, The Rock, I don't, you know what, if you do, you're fired. I just thought, it's classic Rock. I just love, I know it's like PG or whatever, but he seems to be the only one that's allowed to say that sort of stuff. But I thought the match was very entertaining. It was obviously predictable who was going to win, but it was definitely the right call that they won because night 2's match was so good. But yeah, great match in my opinion. And I thought The Rock in great shape still, obviously, whether he's abusing PEDs, he probably is. But yeah, I thought he did pretty well.
Jaden, straight to you then about The Rock and the match in general. The Rock with his culmination of the entrance with the People's Championship bout, the Brahma Bull Flames. What did you make of the main event?
It was perfect. Everything about it was perfect for me. I thought, well, yeah, we all knew who was going to win because we knew the rumours that were circulating around night 2 with Bloodline rules involved. I thought it was very, very good. I thought both of them separating after each other, the two groups, where I thought it really showcased everyone individually. And The Rock took a bump, and he didn't just take one bump. He took a table bump. He took multiple bumps. I was really, really impressed by The Rock. I thought he might have 15, 20 minutes because he's never out of shape, but he's not in ring shape. I thought 15, 20 minutes, he exceeded all of our expectations to the point where I'm actually really upset that he's going away to film another movie. I'd love him to stay and feud with Cody right now. But it was very good. The finish was good. I don't know why the People's Elbow came after the Rock Bottom for the finish. Normally it is the other way round. But we had a lot of spots in the match. And I just thought it was the perfect entrance towards night 2's main event.
Yeah, I mean, night 2 was a culmination of this past year's, and it was one of the best cards we've seen. We'll now move on to night 2, though. We'll start off with Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. CM Punk on commentary. We've not talked about CM Punk and his run and his return. We spoke about, me and Hamza spoke about it just before War Games, available now on Spotify. But that return happened, and me and you were there, and we were like, still spinning stuff. I can't believe I'm seeing CM Punk in a WWE arena again. He says he's back home. Cam, what do you make of that return and this since, and seeing CM Punk in the WWE again?
Yeah, I mean, I started watching wrestling in 2012 and I stopped in 2015. So as you can imagine, my main guy was Cena. Obviously, as a kid, Cena's everyone's main guy. But my number 2 was always CM Punk. I love the guy. And when he left, it left a void that was one of the reasons why I stopped watching wrestling. I think CM Punk is the best in the world. He really is at some things. But to play devil's advocate to that, what he did yesterday has made me not like him. I know it works the other way around. I think it's because I'm English and I love Drew McIntyre, the British representation. I love Drew McIntyre's current character. It's the most entertaining thing in the whole of WWE, in my opinion. When Punk did that, and you can see my reaction on TikTok, I was furious. I love Punk, but what you're doing, McIntyre, then Priest. I don't know. I'll let Jaden give his thoughts, but oh god, I was furious.
Yeah, McIntyre, the British strong connection there. Of course, we've got Clash the Castle as well in Scotland. in June. So maybe Drew gets his moment there. But Jaden, about Punk, we'll go on to Punk and then on to Drew. He is very entertaining at the moment, and I agree. I'm loving his character, but we'll go back to Punk. Well, what do you make of Punk so far? And of course, we were there for that return. That was just wow. You know, CM Punk looked great. You couldn't believe your eyes. I say to you, I still can't believe my eyes. What do you make of it?
I won't forget we were watching it, and my girlfriend was here, and she could not understand why I was going so mental. It's the first WWE show she ever watched me watch, because normally it's there, and when you hear the guitar riff, I did not expect that to happen. I thought it would have happened a tiny bit earlier in the show. Mm-hmm. And the trademark trick, it got me. It got me. It got me. And ever since Mike Work's been fabulous. CM Punk being back is fabulous. My only worry is how quickly he got injured. And it wasn't a little injury. It was a very long-term injury. We still don't fully know if he's injured or not, because he's doing all of this stuff to Drew McIntyre, but he's not doing much with his one arm, so we don't know what's going on. But I think it's been really good. Again, the British bias in me, I really, really do love Drew McIntyre. I think he's recently the most entertaining person within the WWE. When him and Seth were having their back and forth, and he was trying to finish his own story and trying to make people proud, I found it very boring and generic. But recently, his heel work, whether he's heel or not, I wouldn't class him as a heel, but I think it's just been really entertaining. And Punk and Drew McIntyre is going to feed families. We thought it was going to be Punk and Seth, but Punk and Drew have really taken over.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I say, Punk versus Seth. I think we'll get that at some point, but Punk and Drew has been fantastic, and by all accounts, CM Punk has been well behaved since his return, which is nice to see, and it shows that he wants to be there. We'll now come on to our match, though. Drew immediately started with a Claymore. You know, we're all trying to get our streams sorted out and everything, and then we hear in the headphones, he's hitting with a Claymore, and it was a finisher fest, but it was an enjoyable finisher fest. Drew McIntyre, even though it was 25 minutes, Cam, he got his moment of winning a championship in front of fans.
Trust me, that is not going to be his moment. He'll get that in June at Clash at the Castle. That is in his mind as well. That is not his moment. He will get it though, and I think it does make sense because obviously you mentioned he's sort of a heel, but I think in Philadelphia there the crowd is behind Seth Rollins more than Drew. So I think it'd be better for him to get his moment when he's being cheered by absolutely 100% of the audience in Clash at the Castle in Scotland. But when the match first started, I thought, this reminds me of WrestleMania 28, Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan, 18 seconds. I thought, it's the opening match as well. I thought, this is literally 12 years on, and it's the exact same finish. I wouldn't have minded it with, obviously, Seth being injured. I don't think it would have hurt him too much. But I'm happy the match went on because I really did enjoy the match.
Yeah, enjoyed the match, and we had Seth with what I called the Mardi Gras entrance.
I did as well, yeah.
The night. And of course, Michael Cole called it. He said there was a guy that used to do something like this back in
Adam
NXT
Rose.
a few years ago. Adam Rose with his line, which was all very enjoyable. And like I say, Seth, people could talk about his gimmick and whatever, and I know we'll touch on it again later. But it was very enjoyable and a very good end to that match. We then saw Drew get distracted by Punk. He talked about Seth not being focused, and he was too concerned with the bloodline. And Drew was then too focused with CM Punk. CM Punk clocked him with his brace, and out came Send Your Money in the Bank, Damian Priest, to what I think we were all expecting for months, even though people were like, it's been such a boring Money in the Bank reign, to cash in, and what a great cash in it was.
Yeah, the actual cash in itself was probably my top three favorites, alongside Rollins in WrestleMania 31 and then Ziggler Raw after Mania 2013. But to me, and I know it's a popular thing to say, but I'm not even a fan of Damian Priest. I think Mr. Money in the Bank should be somebody entertaining on the mic that you either want to get behind or you really don't like. The sort of like The Edge, the Mr. Kennedys. And I thought LA Knight was that. He's brilliant on the mic. I thought we could have had some really entertaining segments. Even Logan Paul to me would have been a better choice. I just think Damian Priest isn't world championship caliber. He's great in the ring, but I think he needs a manager. I'm not a fan of his promos. I don't think he's got the look or the anything of a world champion, really. I don't know. There's something about him. He just doesn't seem like a world champion to me.
Right enough, I know, Jaden, like we said after the Bad Bunny match back in Puerto Rico, that it did make Priest a star, and they were all very high on him. But what did you make of Priest winning that and now becoming world champion and a fresh new look for Monday nights?
I personally thought it was perfect. They did make Damian Priest look very stupid a lot of times, which didn't sit well with me. But he proved patience is the key. And at the end of the day, he is the champion. So we can't say anything about that. I think it was a very, very good moment. And yeah, top three, definitely, with Rollins. And it's almost perfect the way it was the same. It involved Seth Rollins. It doesn't involve Seth directly, but it involved Seth. You kind of had like this feeling it was going to happen, especially when he distracted himself with Punk. It was just, I think it was it was the best start we could have had tonight too.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that with it being perfect, as long as he loses it at Clash of the Castle to Drew, then I think it is perfect. I don't think he needs a long reign particularly. I could be wrong. He might have the best reign of all time. He might be very entertaining. It's just my personal opinion. I'm not the biggest Priest fan.
Exactly. Of course, Seth telling Drew as well when he beat Tyler, you deserve it. So that was giving his stars. We'll move on to a match that I know, Cam, you said you weren't that keen on, but a match that I think did deliver. It was very entertaining. It was the Pride. It was Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus the Final Testament. Bubba Ray, special guest referee in Philly. Great to see Bubba. Very entertaining match, a quick matchup, but an entertaining one at that.
Yeah, like I said, on paper, that was one of the ones I wasn't looking forward to, but it exceeded my expectations. I really did enjoy it. Obviously, with Snoop on commentary, added another layer of craziness and enjoyment to it. And then seeing Bubba Ray Dudley getting his specs on and shouting at them, get the tables. I was expecting a Devon appearance. I'm a bit disappointed that never happened. But, very enjoyable and a few good like table spots and everything. I really did enjoy the match.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're so back.
We're back.
Yeah, we're back. Sorry.
What did you make of that 6-man tag?
Yeah, I agree. When it first was put on the cards, I was not happy. I was happy it had the stipulation, because without a stipulation, I don't even think I would have watched it. That would have been cup of tea break. That would have been something, because I thought it would have. It surprised me. It really surprised me. I was happy. Bubba not even being announced before and just coming out really helped. And yeah, when Bubba puts on them glasses, you better get a table.
Yeah. So then we had LA Knight versus AJ Styles. A new theme for AJ Styles. Death Rebel. They tend to hit and they tend to miss. Was this a hit with this theme song, or was it a miss? And what did you make of the matchup, Cam?
I said at the time with the theme song, you have to hear it more than once to get your proper opinion. It sometimes takes a few listens to settle in. But my initial reaction is it's a miss. I don't think it's as good as his old theme song. And I mean, another layer of this, but I think they should bring back Jim Johnston to do the theme songs, because he very rarely ever missed. But I did prefer AJ's old theme. I can't lie.
Yeah, I preferred it. You can see how much a theme song is important to a wrestler. Jaden, LA Knight beat him. Right result in the end?
Oh, I think so. And first of all, Jim Johnston, that is a throwback.
Yeah.
Did not expect to hear Jim Johnston's name today at all. But yeah, I believe it was, the right decision. AJ Styles doesn't need a win at WrestleMania. He didn't need to win the feud. AJ Styles is one of, if not, he's one of the biggest stars in WWE. Not for what he's done in WWE, but he is one of the biggest across wrestling as a whole. He doesn't need the win. And LA Knight, It's his first Mania, wasn't it? I feel like LA Knight needed the win, and the match was very good. It was quick, it was snappy, and they had very good chemistry within the ring. We hadn't seen them fully in the ring together. We've seen them fighting at AJ Styles' house, or around LA Knight chasing them around with a chair. But I thought their in-ring chemistry was very surprising.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was a really good match, and LA Knight got the victory. And I expect to see a US Championship run coming his way soon. Speaking of the US Championship, that was our next match: triple threat: Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton. We saw the big Prime bottle come out, and everyone thought it was going to be KSI in it. It wasn't. It was this man who barks like a dog, Aisha Speed. I was appalled. I couldn't believe Aisha Speed was there. I'm not a big fan of him, but Logan Paul ended up retaining. Cam, I'm a big Logan Paul fan. What do you make of Speed being there, and then the match as well? And it was a very entertaining match, I will say.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the match. I mean, I didn't think it would be KSI. I thought, no way, 2 years in a row. My initial thought was Jake Paul, but I think he was in the crowd, so that debunked. And I thought Nico Amalana for some crazy YouTube video he's doing. But Speed, I agree with you. I don't like Speed. I think he's gotten famous for doing nothing. I don't know whether he's got something wrong with him or he's just weird. I don't know, but I don't know how people watch him. I think he's just a mindless brain rot. I think that's what people like to call things on TikTok. But the match itself, really enjoyed it. A huge fan of Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and Logan Paul. I think they're all brilliant. Either way, whoever won, I was going to be happy with that. But I do think Logan Paul, he was my pick to win because I think he will walk into SummerSlam as the like poster boy for it. And I think, as you mentioned, LA Knight versus Logan Paul at SummerSlam, I wouldn't mind that. LA Knight getting his US title victory.
Yeah, absolutely. Jaden,
Yes.
I'll get you asking on Speed in a minute. But Logan Paul, we sit and we've called him a spot merchant. Is after last night?
Well, you call him a
I
spot
call him
merchant.
a spot merchant. You tend to agree with me on that fact.
It can be, yeah.
Do you see him? What do you make? Do you see him as a spot merchant? Do you see him improving in terms of pure wrestling each time he's in that ring?
He improves every match, by far. The quickest rising superstar, maybe, technical wise, in history. We know that he wrestled as a youngster, so he's got the wrestling background that most celebrities don't have coming into it. And he's so athletic, man. Like, you don't see people doing what he and Bad Bunny, I'll give Bad Bunny his flowers. You don't see people coming into wrestling doing that straight away. I feel like you need a spot merchant every now and again. You do, because his whole thing is social media. It makes him go viral. It makes the WWE go viral, which I believe is why he does the stupid spots, the very dangerous spots for someone that isn't technically a professional wrestler. Going into the match, I thought he was going to retain. He did retain.
I was just going to say about you calling him a spot merchant. Isn't like Mick Foley? Wouldn't he be classed as a spot merchant? Doesn't mean he's not a legend.
That is the thing. I think it's in the same way. It's
I agree.
It's not AEW spot merchant. That is pathetic.
Oh yeah, I would never dare call Logan Paul AEW spot merchant. No, that's disrespectful to him.
I think he gives the right amount of spot. He gives a memorable moment every match, and that's. I really enjoy watching him wrestle. And I know you're going to ask me about Speed, so I'm just preparing myself to not swear.
What do you think of Speed being there?
Just why? Just why?
I mean, why? I know why. Because of clicks. I mean, me personally, I put that on my TikTok and instantly one of the most viewed clips I did of the whole night. Just because of that whole generation of, my generation, I suppose. Our generation, I suppose you could say, that just like Speed for some reason. I don't know why either.
Neither.
I can understand why crazy, they did it.
I just don't understand him at all. I've seen clips of him acting normally, and he is one of the most sound people you will ever meet. And then he barks at you. I don't understand. I understand why, because I believe it's already the most viewed wrestling clip of all time. It's got I think it hit 111 million views in 24 hours, which is ridiculous. I know why they did it. I also thought it was going to be Jake Paul. KSI stated he was in America. Whether he actually was or not, we don't know. It might have been to throw us off the speed scent. I thought Jake was going to get involved, but he never. And it ended up being Speed. And I saw a lot of content creators say that it was KSI, which isn't a mistake you want to be making. So luckily, none of us made that. But, very annoying to see him.
Hopefully, that's the last we see of him in the WWE.
Yes.
Got to our women's world championship, the WWE Women's World Championship now. Io Sky versus Bayley. Bayley, the winner of the 2024 Royal Rumble. A build that I really liked. I've told you, Jay, before. I'm not a fan of terms of Io on the mic. I just think the only reason Dakota Kai
can't speak English.
The only reason Dakota Kai is in damage control is because she's the one that can cut a promo. But Io Sky, very impressive in the ring. And that was a great match with her and Bayley. And Bayley winning the World Championship, that's great for Bayley.
Yeah, it is. It was a good match in ring, but again, I'm going to sound like the most unpopular guy ever. I don't like either of them. I don't like any damage. Dakota Kai I see potential in. I'm not the biggest Bayley fan. I mean, I wanted it to win, but that was another match to me where I was just purely waiting for that main event. 3 a.m., get it over with. I want the main event. I really don't care about Bayley or Io Sky. And I know it's unpopular, but everyone was saying that should main event. I understand why, because Bayley won the Rumble. The Rumble, to me, should probably most of the time main event. But I thought that McIntyre Rollins and Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch were much bigger matches than that. And if the tag team match wasn't the main event, then one of them two would definitely have been that instead of Bayley versus Io.
Absolutely. Jay, another new theme for Bayley.
Oh, God.
But Bayley, right decision for her to win and now have a solo's face run with a women's championship that we haven't seen with Bayley in
a few years.
Very long time. Almost 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it was the right decision. Bayley had to win. You can't have Io retain. But I'm a fan of Io Sky in the ring. Out the ring, not at all. Actually, that sounds like I'm calling her out on her personality. On promos, I don't like her because purely she can't speak English. Yeah. She can't cut a promo in English. I had the same problem with Shinsuke. It works for Shinsuke. It doesn't work for Io or the Kabuki Warriors, which is, I agree, why Dakota is still within the group. The match was very good. I thought the match was very good. I thought it was just very good, wasn't it? There's nothing special to say about it. Nothing went wrong. Nothing was memorable. It was just a very good match. And I'm excited to see where Bayley goes with this. There's a lot of potential rivalries from her time in Damage Control.
As well as Damage Control. But I also know Jaden, who you and I both want her to feud with. Very much. The former NXT Women's Champion rising to the tippy top, Tiffany Stratton. Really impressed by these NXT call-ups though. With quick go to NXT before we go on the main event. Carmella Hayes, Bron Breakker, Tiffany Stratton. Yeah, we saw Ilya Dragunov and Roxanne Perez last night. They've all been really impressive.
Yeah, they're all stars in their own right, and this NXT generation. I mean, obviously, I'm only back to watching wrestling within the last year and a half, but I do watch some of the big NXT pay-per-views. I watch NXT Stand and Deliver, and I think the one where Tiffany fought Becky, was that No Mercy? I watched that one too. And Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, that whole thing. The match I thought was a bit of a letdown, a bit short, but I'm a big fan of them both. And Bron Breakker, I think he's a future face of the WWE. Tiffany Stratton, to me, could be the next Charlotte Flair, or even better than Charlotte Flair.
Already is.
Yeah.
Already is.
Yeah, I think Tiffany's just got a lot more charisma than Charlotte.
Is that what it is, Cam? Is that what it is? The charisma.
I know Tiff's a fantastic every performer. I know we'll talk. I know we'll see if we come back to it down the line. But NXT Futures by, of course, Bron Breakker, absolute freak of nature. that man is. He's so quick. But we were drifting a bit, so we'll go on to the biggest main event of all time. Before we get to the last sort of 5 minutes and the whole story can be completing, Cody Rhodes has finished the story. I'm so glad he's finished the story, but before we go on, what do we make of Cody finishing the story and the match before that last 5 minutes?
Definitely the right call to me to let Cody finish his story. And my chat was very much split. I mean, the Roman fans were very much going at it, but I understand why they wanted Roman to retain. His reign was incredible, whether you like him or you don't. His schedule is annoying, but you can't argue with him. But the only reason why Cody had to win, because 2 Rumble wins in a row with nothing to show for it would have killed his career, in my opinion. I'm very pleased Cody won. I'm a Cody crybaby, I guess you'd call me. Yeah, I've really enjoyed this whole. I mean, I thought when Cody won the Rumble, I was a bit let down. I thought the same main event twice in a row, it's too obvious. But I think the involvement of The Rock really did spice everything up and make it really exciting.
Absolutely, Jaden. On those last 5 minutes, we knew Jimmy, we knew Jay, we knew Solo was going to get involved.
We knew Cena. Let's be real. We all knew Cena was going to happen.
With Cena, and we saw Cena, and we were like, "This is great," And Cena quickly come on to him at the end, and then we hear, "If you smell what The Rock is cooking," I called it to you then and there, thrice in a lifetime. I mean, all the crisscrossing, in that moment, it was remarkable. And then he rock bottom Cena, and then we're thinking of what's going to happen now. He's rock bottomed him, and then we hear the Sierra Hotel India Echo Lima Delta. But first, did you both think that we were going to see Mox when we heard that? Did you think
I was screaming on my stream, Dean Ambrose is here. I mean, I think if he comes back, it's definitely the Dean Ambrose name. I don't see any wrong reason with that. But I mean, the main thing for me that this did, I don't know whether people would say the same thing. It brought back my love for Seth Rollins. I'm not a fan of this Seth freaking Rollins gimmick. I think the clothes he wears, the way it goes on, it's ridiculous. I can't take him seriously. I thought he doesn't. I don't know what to say. I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I just don't like. I don't like him with this gimmick. But I love Seth Rollins the person. I love him in the ring, and I love his menacing all black gimmick, serious gimmick. I really want that back. I hope when he does return, I think he will take some time off because he got an absolute beating both these nights. But I think when he comes back, he has to bring back a serious gimmick.
Jaden?
I was. My heart said yes. My head, obviously, Tony Khan is not going to let that happen, is he? My heart skipped a beat. I heard it, and I was like, maybe, maybe not. And it was when Michael Cole said, "Are they here?"
Yeah.
Not just is Seth, it was are they. And that is when I thought, oh my God, he's going to be here. Yeah, it was just a child in me. I could not, I thought it was happening and it didn't happen. And I'm still disappointed. But you can't, it's not a big disappointment because it's never going to happen in that situation. But yeah, I agree. I think Seth's taken 4 weeks off. Maybe around 4 weeks is what I've seen online. I think he's one of the best in the ring, but when he wears his wife's wardrobe coming out onto the stage every single week, it is a bit tiring. It's like you said, Cam. He looks like, what was it? Cruella de Vil, I believe you said the other night. A blue Cruella de Vil. It is a bit annoying, and it's so annoying that he used to be, like you said, the menacing. He was the Beast Slayer. He was the Messiah, and now he is on RuPaul's Drag Race. It's a little annoying, but when he came back in the all black Shield gear last night, it was 2 nights ago. I thought it was very it's just nostalgic, and it now makes me want to see him come back as a more darker, dominant figure within the roster, because we are lacking that in the main event. I know we've got Priest now, but there's no one really that's just. Randy Orton's no longer main event. He is, but he's not in it. So there's no one that's just going to go around attacking people or kicking people in the head. Obviously, Seth stomps their head onto the mat, but I think Seth can fill that void now if he comes back with a different character. I just don't think he will.
So, do you think we'll see heel Seth?
I think it depends how long he takes off. I actually thought he was going to take a lot longer. You say 4 weeks, you say?
I saw 4 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, my ideal scenario, I mean, the Punk, Rollins, and McIntyre, I thought maybe McIntyre wins it in Scotland, faces Punk at SummerSlam, whoever wins, I don't know. Rollins returns at next year's Rumble, wins it, and we get a triple threat at Mania 41, Rollins, Punk, McIntyre. That's how
perfect.
I would personally book that feud.
Well, that is very interesting. That's quite nice, doesn't it?
That's
good.
good.
That sounds tasty.
I mean, either that or The Rock comes back at 41 and wins it, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, Seth dressed in the Shield gimmick. You know, we were all going, is he going to portray Cody? Is he not? After all their history, but after all their history, it almost comes through that they have that respect for now each other. You know, Seth he was Cody's literal Shield. You know, I didn't think anyone expected him to come out in the Shield attire when he said that, but he was Cody's Shield. He put his body on the line, which is the one thing. Take down Roman Reigns, take down the bloodline. That's the one thing Seth's always been about, is to get Roman Reigns off that top. And it was Reigns' PTSD that cost him in the end. Before we go on to that, it was The Rock that Roman Superman punched Seth, and The Rock was going to use the belt inscribed with Mama Rhodes on it. Jay, I know you're a big fan of Mama Rhodes.
Mama Rhodes, yeah. What a woman.
Mama Rhodes. And you and I both thought, I don't know if you thought the same, Cam, that we were going to hear the glass shatter.
Yeah, I was wearing a Stone Cold Steve Austin hoodie in preparation.
But we didn't see the glass shatter. Instead, we heard something that you called on the night, Jaden. The final boss of WrestleMania.
Yes.
The final boss of all of the WWE. It was the gong. I heard your reaction. You were a bit ahead of me, and I've never heard you react like that. And then I hear my headset gong, and I'm like, I can't repeat what I said there. But you can imagine what was said. But wow, the final boss of WrestleMania to come and take down the Bloodline. Of course, the history with Roman and Undertaker, Rock and Undertaker, the Undertaker and the Samoan Dynasty. It now almost looks like it was the right thing to have the Undertaker there. Was it not, Cam? And what did you think when you heard that gong?
Yeah, I was going ballistic. Unfortunately, my computer said too many uploading attempts on TikTok, so I couldn't upload my reaction to that or Cody winning. But hey ho, this is what it is. Yeah, what a moment that was. I do understand now. Someone made a point in my comment to why it wasn't Austin, because Austin is in typical fashion would have hit Cody with a stunner as well. He lays waste to everybody. Austin, take no prisoners, don't trust anybody. I'm pretty certain if he did come, he would have stunned everybody in the ring. But yeah, it was perfect. Cena, Undertaker, the Usos, Solo, The Rock. Like, it just involved pretty much everybody that needed to be. Seth Rollins, it was perfect. My favorite match of all time. I'm gonna go ahead and say it.
Jay Vedder, what did you make of the Undertaker coming back?
I've had my time to calm now. Like I said, I can't believe we all ruled it out. We were also dead set on Stone Cold coming back. Completely forgot about everyone else it could have been. I mean, Hulk Hogan probably had more chance in coming back than most people, when that was never going to happen. The gong hit, and immediately in my head I went, he never got to get revenge on Roman ever. And he does have a history with The Rock, The Undertaker, that wasn't really highlighted. It is quite a big history. And there's only one man that has more final boss than The Rock, and that's the man that never lost at WrestleMania until... Can we say Brock's name on this as well? We can say Brock. He's innocent anyway. until Brock, and then Roman was a bit of a weird one when he beat Taker at Mania, but he looked dominant, and he never Taker fought Brock at SummerSlam afterwards. He's never had it on with Roman, who also eliminated from the Rumble. It's not just one piece of history behind them. I believe it was Raw, one of the editions of Raw, Taker and Kane fought the Shield. There's a little bit of history between them, and it just made sense. And I think it was the right decision. I wanted Stone Cold, the glass shatter, that would have been it, but the surprise of the Undertaker might have made the moment a tiny bit better.
I absolutely agree. And then the lights went out, and Roman's PTSD, he couldn't get over that Seth took the decision to break up the Shield. Seth, the MVP, did everything. I think he's probably now almost become as big as face as Cody after that reaction. Chair to the back. It was 3 crossroads, and the 1,300, I think, 13-day reign of Roman Reigns comes to an end. A new champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Everyone came in to celebrate. Triple H came in the ring. Bruce Pritchard came down as well. WrestleMania, each 10 seems to be the crowning of a new champion and celebrations. And what a moment, boys, that was for Cody and everyone who's been involved in that Bloodline storyline to come and celebrate.
Definitely. I mean, what would have made the cherry on the top would have been if his brother turned up, but I think that was never really going to happen. I mean, Tony Khan, just let it happen. It's nothing big. He's not going to have a match or anything. It was a shame, and obviously, if his dad could have seen him do it, it would have been nice for Cody. But doing it for his dad, obviously, and what a moment! You can't not like that moment, even if you're a Cody hater. It was perfect, literally wrestling at its best.
Absolutely. Then quickly from you, Jaden, because we want to quickly touch on Raw and then a bit on the football, because I know that's something you boys are interested in.
Yes. It was cinema. Cinema is the only way you can put it. One word, and that is cinema. The way he was, like you said, Seth was a literal Shield. It wasn't just a gimmick. He was the Shield. Roman's PTSD, 10 years, full circle. It's happened twice, and that's why he can't beat Seth Rollins. Seth's in his head 24/7, whether he knows, or I should say, whether Roman acknowledges that or not. Everything was and when everyone came down to the ring, it was quite nice. I think that was their way of signifying this is an achievement. This is a new era, which Cody also said afterwards. It's a new era. It's not often you see someone grab the mic after the main event at WrestleMania, and Cody did. I was very happy to see Brandy Rhodes, who we haven't mentioned.
Yes.
It was really nice seeing Brandy back in the WWE, and I just felt it was all perfect once again. Night 1 led perfectly into it with Bloodline rules, and they didn't get anything wrong on night 2. At all, in my opinion. There's some iffy bits, but night 2, I think, was result-wise perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you there more. It was a combination of things, but of course, our Tribal Chief, we can't not talk about his reign, and we know we've talked about his part-time behaviours, but quickly, gentlemen, acknowledge the Tribal Chief. What a run, and he saw him and Paul Heyman on the stage embrace after. Roman, I echo the sentiment. I said last night, and I'm not the biggest of terms of Roman fans, because I've still got that 2014 to 2019, 2020, whatever, getting pushed down our throat.
Succotash and all that, yeah.
Yeah, but that, what a run, what a Tribal Chief gimmick, and Heyman and Roman, what an embrace at the end for both of them.
Yeah, definitely. You have to literally acknowledge him. Again, I didn't watch during the dark days of the Roman push, so I'm not a Roman hater. I am a Roman fan, not so much as a Cody fan. But I'm just wondering what's next. I mean, my dream and a lot of people's dreams is to see that triple threat in the main event of Mania: Seth, Dean, and Roman. Are we ever going to get that? Are we ever going to get Rock versus Roman? I think we will get Rock versus Roman. I do. I think we'll get that maybe next year's Mania, if not Cody versus Rock. But yeah, what a run! Who's Paul Heyman going to go with next if Roman does take a break? I don't see Heyman taking a break. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Brock Lesnar, and I think he comes back soon. The fact that Triple H mentioned him in the press conference, I think he's back soon. I think in the next 6 months we will see Brock Lesnar back.
That is going to be an interesting one then. Jane, I know you're a big fan of the Tribal Chief.
Yes. I miss him already. I miss him. The whole Bloodline story elevated so many people that we're now seeing in the main event, and nobody has ever done that before. You've either got champions that bury people or champions that make people, and Roman was one of those champions that made Sammy into what he is today. Jimmy, and now single stars. Solo, who I think Paul Heyman could go with. I would not be surprised. He was the chosen heir to the Tribal Chief. With Rock and Roman both away, you know that Solo might take a bigger role. We have seen the signing of Jacob Fatu. So he might join the Bloodline. There's a lot going on right now. There is a lot. I was happy to hear the thank you Roman chants last night, and Cody did look a little bit awkward because he knew that he deserved it. You're not really supposed to, like, as a character, you're just there saying, I beat him. And the way he came back and said, I acknowledge the Tribal Chief, but I was the one that beat him, that was perfect. He couldn't have come back with a better response. I think Roman's going to come back still Tribal Chief, but as a bit of like a broken one. He's lost storyline, everything. He said in his documentary he didn't want to be there if he wasn't number one. It was all hinting towards him losing. It's just where they go from it now. I know Hunter said there was going to be a massive storyline for Roman, so we know he's not done. It's just where they go, and I think it is going to be towards The Rock.
If Roman did just stop wrestling now and we never saw him again, where would you rank him all time?
One of the greatest.
To me, he's not on the Mount Rushmore.
I don't think he's up there, not yet.
No.
But he is one of the greatest for what he's done in the modern era with COVID.
I know everyone does ask it, but who is on your guys' Mount Rushmore then?
Well, I said this. I gave a few different ones with Hamza back in November. I think I did like different, like in terms of pure in-ring one and then a character one, but I think I had Cena. I added like one for like character, one for whatever, and one for something else, one for in-ring. So I think I had Cena, Taker, Austin, and Michaels for me, and Sean.
Well, mine is very similar. I've put Cena's in there. Cena is the most, probably up there with The Rock as the most recognisable due to acting as well. The Rock might be going back in there after his recent run, but he's not on there yet. Stone Cold's on there for the Attitude Era. Yeah. Hunter is now on there purely as a basis, everything he's done booking-wise. But he's the one that could potentially slip off it one day for someone else. And then, Taker, for me, is the greatest of all time in my heart. He's not, but everything he did... How a man can stay kayfabe for 30 years or something, I don't know. Yeah. He gave everything to the business, and the business did not give everything back to him at some points, and he still continued to give everything. And for me, he is my GOAT.
I've got Cena, Taker, Austin as well, but I've got Hulk Hogan as the fourth. I think it's impossible to leave Hulk Hogan off. Without Hogan, you don't have Cena. Without Hogan, you don't get the Attitude Era. Yeah, I think Hogan
very true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very true. I mean, the reason I put Sean there is because for me, he's the greatest to ever step in the ring.
Yeah, in ring, he's the best of all time.
That's why he's got that spot there.
The thing that lacks for Shawn Michaels is his number of world title runs and achievements.
Yeah.
There's only how many titles? Not that many. Hulk Hogan, that 1,500-day reign. I know it was a different era back then, but then he transformed himself with the NWO and then came back with his face gimmick again. I just think Hulk Hogan has to be there personally.
Fair enough. Of course, we are in a new era. Jay, we've touched on Jade. We've touched on you want Alexa to come back.
I did.
we've sort of touched on everything. We've sort of Cena coming back in an excellent tag. We talked about a new era with Jey Uso and Damien Priest, a fresh matchup, which I think is now nice that we're going to see these fresh matchups, new stars being elevated. We've got the draft coming up. I mentioned about last night Drew McIntyre. He looked annoyed, and I said that he looked. Put it on Twitter. I said he looked broken. Drew McIntyre is now broken, and that is all going to sell Clash of the Castle for broken dreams.
Yeah, I think it's obvious that Priest will beat Jey Uso, because he can't lose his first title defense. He just can't. I think Priest walks in up until June to Clash of the Castle, where he then loses it to McIntyre to then set up for that Punk and eventually, hopefully, Seth Rollins feud.
Absolutely. So, boy, draft is coming up, so it's a new era. But what did we make quickly of the Raw after WrestleMania?
I don't think it's as bad as some people are making it out to be. Obviously, there's no huge returns. I mean, you said you're hoping for Alexa Bliss. I mean, same here. I did a TikTok last night about who could return. There was a lot of speculation about. A lot of people were saying MJF. That was never happening. No. But I was hoping for Sheamus. I know I've mentioned him a few times here. I'm a huge Sheamus fan. I thought Gunther retains. Sheamus comes on Wrestlemania to then set up for Clash at the Castle. Sheamus Gunther for 3, but obviously not. Matt Hardy. I thought Matt Hardy might have shown up in some sort of like backstage segment because obviously he's not contracted with AEW anymore. But no big returns really other than Cena. But he was there last night. But it wasn't the worst show, and I think it's just our expectations are a bit too high after night 2 of Mania.
Yeah, you're not gonna top Mania 2. Like night 2 was the pinnacle. It was the start of an era, the end of an era, and the start at the same time. The matches were really good on Raw. I thought the matches were very good, apart from the certain squash match, which makes sense but doesn't, because it could have been so much better.
Well, like you said last night, there's not many people you can keep food into Jade Cargill with how stacked.
No, because they have a very, very strong women's roster.
And then you take Chelsea win as well.
Yeah, you can't take Chelsea's moment away from her. Unbelievable.
It's going to be a Goldberg run for Jade Cargill.
I think so, yeah.
180 or something crazy.
Until she learns how to wrestle fully, and then we'll put her into a massive match.
Repeat her AEW run.
Yeah.
Without
she's just not losing for a very long time, is she?
No, I think we'll see Jade improve. I think now she wants to properly improve. She's got the performance center.
Yeah.
But a really good WrestleMania weekend, gentlemen. I know we'll quickly come back over to this side of the pond. We'll switch to the football, and Malvin, I know you'll be watching. I know you'll be seeing the clips, mate. So unlucky
questionable takes.
Unlucky on your 2-point deduction, mate. Hope City get their dues, but I know we'll hear from you about it when you're back. What do you make of this 2-point deduction though for Everton?
Well, I support Liverpool. I don't think I've told you guys yet. But are you Liverpool too, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously not being from Liverpool, I'll probably get some hate in the comments about that. But I don't hate Everton as much as Scouse fans probably do. I hate Man United a lot more than I hate Everton, and it's not fair. I mean, even if this was Man United, the fact that Man City are getting more time, they're getting away with it. They wouldn't be in contention to win this league title. Why doesn't it just do it case by case? Yeah, it's 115. But if Everton are getting 2 points per case, then just do the first case, takes a week, give them 2 points deduction, then out of the title race. It's not fair that it's like for one team to get one treatment and then another team gets different. It really isn't.
It's not. It's Premier League at its finest. You know. I know, Jamie. You like to call it Big Six bias.
No offense, lads, but yeah.
I know that.
It's not your fault, is it? It's the clubs. The clubs are greedy bastards, and I will swear at that point. I don't care. The Big Six are greed after greed after greed. That's how it is. That's how it always is going to be, I believe. It's just I think the point deduction. One of my managers at work's a massive Everton fan, and I said to him yesterday, I went 2 points again. He goes, I don't know. We don't know what's going on anymore. They're making it up as they go along. I can understand why these City and Chelsea cases are taking so long. Loads of repeat offences, but if they're doing it like 1-1 with Everton, then yeah, I agree. Why can't they do it 1-1 with your likes of City and Chelsea?
Yeah.
Like me being a Villa fan and seeing we're going to have to sell one of our best players in the summer just to potentially buy one player. It's not fair on clubs that are breaking into the top 6, potentially top 5, top 4. The two big ones being Villa and Newcastle. It's not fair on teams like us, where teams like, not necessarily Liverpool, because you guys don't really like spending money, but there's how Chelsea can spend 100 million on a player and just say, oh, we'll pay it over 7 years and we'll pay their contracts over 7 years. I don't understand. It makes no sense.
No, it is absolutely ridiculous. I know we haven't got much time, so we are having to keep this discussion short, but we have got Champions League, Europa League fixtures, all that.
And Conference League. And Conference League.
Yes, and your Conference League, yes.
Yes.
But breaking news sort of emerged last night, the terror threats being posed at the Emirates and these Champions League games, they're still going to go ahead, which is very baffling. What do we make of this?
Maybe me not being on X contributes to this. I've not heard anything about these terror threats. And
oh yeah,
I'll let you guys talk about this. I mean, I'm looking forward to the football, and personally, I don't mind these women terror threats. You guys can talk about
that. ISIS just posted some threat towards the Champions League stadiums, saying that they will. Well, I believe the words were, "We will kill everyone."
Oh wow.
For once, I've never been so happy my club's not in the Champions League, as I'm sure both of you can agree as well. We can sit in our little European leagues, win the cups, probably play each other to see who plays in the final of the Super Cup, and then maybe there won't be anyone to play in the final of the Super Cup.
Well, I guess we don't want to hope for that, though, do we?
No.
Anything happening there? Like...
Only Arsenal fans.
I mean, if I was going to pick, I'd pick the Man City fan. I'm joking.
Oh, but, no.
On a serious note,
different breed.
Why can't the police look into who's posting these things and find their address?
I don't know.
Who knows?
It makes no sense.
Mate, absolutely doesn't. But quick, Jaden, Europa Conference League this week.
I will be there.
You are going to be there.
I am.
Do you feel confident you can win?
No.
And do you think you can win the whole thing?
Yeah. I should. But I don't think I've ever seen a good Aston Villa side in my 19 years of being alive. Every final we've been in, apart from the playoff final, I've seen us lose. And we did lose the playoff final the year before that. No, I'm slightly confident. I would, if you had asked me before we had about 7 ACL season-ending injuries to our best players, I would have said yes, and I would have been a lot. We'd probably have top 4 secured by now if we had the likes of Kamara, Mings as backup. Mings was going to start the season, I believe, but Pau Torres got thrown into the deep end and has excelled very well. Buendia's not here. Ramsey's been out most of the season. He's out for the rest of the season. It's just it's the best time to be a Villa fan, and it's also a horrible time to be a Villa fan because I'm not used to this. I'm in dreamland and I don't know what to expect. I wear this shirt. It's Rotterdam 1982, the last time we won a European competition, and God help, one day I'll be wearing an Athens 2024 shirt. But it's ask me after Lille, and I can give you a proper answer. But you say we've got a very difficult run in. If we beat Lille, it's either Fenerbahce or Olympiacos. It's not easy considering we're in the Conference League. I mean, last year West Ham were beating teams I've never heard of. In the final, on the other side of a draw, it's Fiorentina probably. So I think you probably had an easier run than us, and you're in the better competition. But you've got Atalanta, I believe, and that's not going to be easy.
No, Atalanta are top side. Cam, what do you think about this Europa League draw then, and the running favourites to win it? You should think we are.
Yeah, I mean, you might get some hate for this. I'm more than happy to throw that away if it means winning the league. I'm not too interested in the Europa League. I mean, I don't mean to sound above it, but I think we are above the Europa League. To me, Newcastle and Man United were in the wrong position. They would have thrived in the Europa, and I think we would have made it to at least the semis of the Champions League and potentially even won the whole thing. But yeah, I'm not too bothered about the Europa. I'm like I say, if you win it, it's a bonus. I think Bayer Leverkusen in the final will be a huge game. West Ham will be tough as well if we got them. Other than that, I don't see any threat to us winning it unless we just play a weakened team to focus on the league, which I'm more than happy for us to do. I do think Aston Villa will win the conference, though, whether that's English bias, but I don't watch them other teams to me.
I hope so.
As good as Villa.
I hope so.
I hope so. Yeah, it's going to be a real good year for English football. And there's been all the sort of Premier League action we sort of live for due to Man U. Really disappointing performance at the weekend from us, Cam. What did you make of that?
Well, the actual performance in itself wasn't bad. Like 63% possession, we dominated. We just
couldn't finish.
I think I saw a stat. We've had 84 shots against Man United this season, not won once. It is ridiculous. And the way that they're celebrating a draw when they're 6 and they put up that pathetic performance is ridiculous. It's embarrassing. How did we not win? Like Darwin should have scored, Salah should have scored, Diaz should have scored. Dominic Szoboszlai needs to be
Everyone
dropped.
should have scored.
Yeah, I want to see Harvey Elliott start ahead of Szoboszlai in the next game. I think he's not been at it for about 2 months now since he's come back from injury.
Yeah.
Endo and McAllister are in the midfield. They're thriving, but Szoboszlai is not living up to it.
Well, like I said, Elliott was my young player of the season at that point. I think we did it at that point. We did it for under 20s. Elliott has now turned 21, so it's a bit different. Quickly before we go, then, gentlemen, the league title twists and turns. There's probably going to be another few more twists and turns. Who walks away with it?
I'll let you go first.
I think I know who both of you were going to say. I said when Arsenal played Manchester City, the winner of that game would win the league.
True.
I've reiterated time and time again, I thought you were going to slip up at Old Trafford. And I feel like you might slip up at Goodison. And that's going to really hurt. It might really hurt. I think you might slip up there. And you've still got to come to Villa Park, not the fortress it once was. But we also have a habit of costing Liverpool titles in recent times. Blame Steven Gerrard. As I was saying, I thought Arsenal City, and then they drew. So that really threw a spanner in it. I think you're going to slip up again. I think Arsenal have the toughest run in. But I think Arsenal are going to finally win the league. I've said they're going to win it for the last 2 years. I think this year, I think it's now or never for Arsenal, in a way.
Yeah.
City, they concede too many goals, as do you. But I know you like to concede and then win like by 4 goals.
Bit strange, isn't it?
Yeah, I just personally think Arsenal they look the best, but then they've got the Champions League, and Arsenal's never had to balance a league title in the Champions League really under Arteta. So it could go to either of you. I just think Arsenal at this current moment of time look the best suited to win the league.
Fair enough. And then Cam, quickly, who do you think is going to win it? I think we might just nick it, but it's going to be close. But who do you think will
I think all teams are going to drop points. Arsenal and City have to go to Spurs. There's no way that...
No, they're not allowed to drop points there.
There's no way that both teams come away with a win. At least one of them will at least draw that match. I think both draw. Maybe even Arsenal lose because Tottenham again will want to stop Arsenal winning it. I think we have the potential to drop points at home at Tottenham and away to Villa and away to West Ham. They're the 3 games I'm looking at where I think we could potentially draw. I don't think we'll lose any. But Man City have the easiest running. It's only away to Tottenham that really puts them in any threat at all. So I'm going to go Man City purely because I'm scared to predict us winning it after twice City have done it by a point. But I think we can all agree it's worst for football if City do it. For one, there's no one there to celebrate it. And for 2, it's cheating. It's corrupt. It literally is.
I couldn't agree with you more there, Cam. Absolutely.
I'm mainly saying it because I hope it doesn't happen. So I'm trying to like do a little jinx on them. Just hope it just doesn't happen.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, that's all we have time for today. Thank you both for coming on. It has been a great talk about WrestleMania and then a bit about the football. Malvin and Will will be joining me back, I think, sometime next week. I'll let them be doing it because it's their episode, and then Malvin will want to do a deep dive onto Everton and our Sport Roundup show. So once again, gentlemen, thank you very much. Cam, especially, thank you for taking the time out to join us.
Thanks for having me on.
Jaden, lad,
Thank you.
Get yourself off to work.
I've got to go. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on, boys, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Yeah,
We will.
See ya.
Ta.